Oh, hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Look at this. Have I washed this cup clean or what? Makes you ready to eat or drink something right out of this cup, doesn't it? Unless, ooh, look inside. Yeah, I washed the outside, but I didn't wash the inside. If I want to say this is clean, you'd be saying to me, that ain't right. It reminds me of what Jesus said in Matthew 23. Verse 25, he said, "Woe to you, Pharisees, because you go to the trouble to wash the outside of the cup, but inside is filled with greed." Greed. Not a good thing. The believer is not to have greed. Now you may be saying, Mark, this is not my thing. I'm not a greedy person. Good. I'm very glad to hear that. But that New Testament concept of greed is more than simply gimme money, or gimme possessions, or a car, or a house, or something like that. The New Testament word for greed is harpage. Actually, there are several of them, but that's one of the ones that's used. That's the one used in the Matthew passage. But the words for greed or avarice in the New Testament are reflective of a desire for yourself. It's really a selfish desire. And so it doesn't have to be simply a desire for money or things that have economic value. You can be greedy for attention. You can be greedy for prestige, fame. You can be greedy for all sorts of things that put you or me in the center. Things that we want to make us feel better, or make us feel more valuable, or make us fill in the blank. So that's when you begin to cross over and see these verses like Paul writes about in Ephesians, where he talks about greed, but he talks about greed from the perspective of things that you want, and all forms of avarice. And this idea that Peter writes about in 2 Peter 3 about greed being something that is foundational. So don't get me wrong, the love of money is the root of all evil. Paul says that to Timothy, 1 Timothy 6:10. But it's not simply the love of money that's the root of all evil. Anytime we seek things to make us more important, us feel better, to the extent of what's outside of God's will. I'm not saying that it's wrong for us to seek a better life, seek to have things that we can use to the glory of God. But there's a line that gets drawn between seeking things that are okay to seek and seeking things that are feeding a selfishness and a selfish desire. That's a hard line to find sometimes in life. And we need to be asking ourselves, is this something I need, or is this something I want? And if it's something I want as opposed to need, do I want it for good reasons? Do I want it to use to the glory of God? Do I want it to use for the good of others? Or is it all about me? Because if it is, woe to you, Pharisees. You can look as good and shiny as you want on the outside, but if inside you're full of greed, you need to do some cleanup work. So today, my thought for the day is, I'm going to work really hard on trying to figure out, is this something I want or need? And if it's a want, do I want it for good reasons? And I'd urge you to walk with me in that. Tomorrow, we'll have another video thought for the day on that ain't right. But today, we'll just leave it this way. Greed in the Christian life, that ain't right. Have a good day.